fast forward, any come our training so age politics avenue. Podcast or chat training because make headlines. Jemre na EDB exomo ewaha. And idiom yahu braxi muse ende AD kanya ya no subscribe to the channel amami. And idiom man yanko highway. Lawyer Martin people and all truck say another dankwa Akuffo Addo na administration. Mra na omo ewo eye tumi munu. Omo procure eye 100 buses na ye electric buses ebeboa easy conjunction traffic conjunction omayimu na NDC ba kunya no so no 100 buses na omo ka no ekuwie eye 8 buses dia ka no entimi ameduru eye omayima onua eno so akoye asemfofro na we ni free honso eye government spokesperson emma eye His Excellency John Dramani Mahama Felix Fosukwache and so aka say blame housing project and so no it is under review me no ka say MPP amayiko die onua ija egwomuchima enya asem koto akra yemo enro inseminim na yehwe ne yeko ene die eba
would help because once the fuel prices have come down significantly, we expect that it should translate. So let's see how it pans out on Monday. And then I understand that also, just in the run-up to the elections, it was announced by the previous regime that they had bought 100 new buses.
That's the electric one?
Yes, the EV buses. But this current administration said that when they took over, they were only 10. They were only 10. A certain popular politician said they had bought 100. A government changes over, and they found only 10. The remaining 90, they are yet to pay for. And it's become an albatross on the neck of this current government, right? Yeah. So, you can Google it and see a few days to the elections who went and announced in the previous regime that they had bought 100 new buses. And then when the tables turned, this current administration found 10. So you see that these politicians always gaslighting us day in, day out, right? Yeah, so let's do the repairs. Now, apart from that, too, another way of, making sure that these gains go on, we'll borrow from today, Professor Bobkin is delved a bit into the 24-hour economy. I also see the Volta corridor, Volta corridor in the 24-hour economy. So the part I'm most interested in, every day here we are talking about cost of living. So the part that touches me is how they want to be able to use it to transport food from the north to the south.
Yeah.
Yes, how they will be able. Yes. So it's popular. Yes. Yes. They say they will reduce the cost from about 40% to about 20%.
That's around 1/8 of the normal road cost.
Excellent. So it's a Volta corridor.
I respect that analysis in the 24-hour policy.
Yes. So that is what we should be watching keenly. And it's good, Mr. There's a Akuffo is here that will be watching that one keenly so that it transforms. Because your question to me is, how do we translate this decrease in fuel prices and other indicators to the pocket of the ordinary Ghanaian? So if we can get the transportation, the Volta corridor working well, so that the food would come from the north to the south at very cheap prices, so that it can translate to further reduction in inflation, then that would be excellent. So that's one key area to watch. Now, on the matter of...
to help you, the third leg has been constructed.
Okay.
Tema in Pakadan.
Okay.
Is there.
Yeah.
So one part of it is done.
Okay.
We need to do the dredging on the Volta and then connect to Yendi.
Excellent.
That's finished.
Perfect. That would be good. And also, in natural fact, this rail thing, when Edu Buahin was campaigning to become president in 92, he promised the Accra-Paga railway. Accra-Paga. Yes, 1992. Akuffo mentioned it a few times and it died. Recently, I've been hearing through the grapevine that somebody is, coming back to look at it, Accra-Paga railway. Yeah, so maybe...
like you said, Akuffo designed it, and we have done the third leg. And we need to do the harvesting of the trees in the Volta and buy some badges. Then we will get to Yendi.
Okay.
And then from Yendi to whatever place we need to connect.
So that's the Volta corridor, the water one. But I'm talking about the railway.
Yes, it is still railway. Railway takes us to And now we have railway to...
Oh, so it's not on land from Accra to Paga?
It's not purely on land alone.
Oh, okay.
Railway takes us to to Mpakada now, and it is done.
Okay.
We have done the harvesting under the...
Is it?
No.
It's
The one that drilled and then there was
It's not in use. But
said there was an accident.
Listen, the infrastructure is provided. The railway line,
Yes,
everything is done up to Mpakada.
Yes. Then there was an accident.
There was an accident, which was a very unnecessary accident, because there's something called signaling.
Yeah.
If we had signaling, anything that comes on the road, you'll be able to detect, even in Tema.
Yeah.
So if our signaling system was working, we wouldn't have those accidents.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
So Honorable Apia, so apart from the, hey, and by the way, I hope today you mentioned the businessman. Okay, let's make progress.
You're becoming too monotonous, Martin.
Yeah, so apart from that one that you mentioned, yeah, somebody wants to do pure road. I mean the railway on land, pure land, yeah, from Accra to Paga. Maybe, yeah, where I'm hearing the grave and later.
No, let me.
Okay, yeah, so we're saying that it means that government has to support this one too as well, right? Government has to support, because from 92, this is 2026, well over about 34 years, right? We should make it happen. Then that would be equivalent to the Shanghai to Beijing that Professor Bobkin mentioned, right?
Okay.
Yeah, because that too would help. Now, so that's on the matter of the fuel, this in transforming or translating to this reduced cost of living for us, right? Which is a major problem, most parts of the world now. Now, if we come to the inflation, so yes, when food reduces, food prices, etc., reduce, it will bring down inflation. That's those that are captured in the budget. But in the
basket, you mean?
Yes, in the I said budget basket, in the food basket, right? Yes. So, but we all know that as Ghanaians have consistently made it clear that we don't chop inflation. We don't chop inflation. If inflation we go chop, no. We want to see reduction in food prices. I've seen monitored on social media, and it's good, Mr. Akuffo is here. Young people are complaining a lot about rent. Yeah, so that, yeah, you see the celebration. Yes, they appreciate that food prices have come down. I've met people who said for the first time they could buy rice to take to their hometown to distribute, etc., right? But that the rent matter to government needs to do something, because you know the unemployment rate is high, over 13%, right? Yeah, and youth unemployment is even worse. So as we churn these young people out of school, and you know they also look to move on, and yet one of the key things in moving on is to find your own place to go live. And so where there isn't, or where the rent is not affordable, so the key word being affordability, then it creates a lot of disquiet. Because you see, though we are still very excited that we sacked the MPP, etc., but a bit beneath the excitement, there's still a lot of tension about the, cost of living, etc. It comes down, but still, human nature, I think we would want to see it further, come down massively. So yes, this is celebrated, but young people are looking forward to further reductions. And so we wish to see how the government will tackle rent, because it's even in the constitution that we should do and provide better rent for our citizens, right? And we all know the housing deficit has been going for decades. We say 1.8 million, then we hear 2 million, etc. So what are we doing to ramp it up? We know how Saglame didn't end up well for us. And natural fact has become very costly. Has become very. Yes.
You have their headquarters there.
Can you imagine?
Human beings were supposed to live
also
there, but
part
now
of the
snakes.
I thought they had
living in real estate.
We haven't sold them out to the citizens. In the previous regime, the last days, upon Akroma, yes.
An arrangement, no.
Yes.
On the Saglemi.
Yes.
There was the announcement of some sort of private sector intervention in it, correct?
Yes, it was announced in the dying embers of the previous administration, but it is under review.
It's under review.
Because we believe that it is not the best or most ideal situation. It was meant to be public housing, which is affordable for people within a certain income bracket.
I see.
But we had expected the MPP to continue. They left it to rot for 8 years. And then in the dying embers of their administration, they tried to put together or cobble together some arrangements, as it were, to put it into private hands. But it's under review, and we'll come back to ensure that your initial objective is achieved.
I want to stay with you unless you're done with your point.
No. So as usual, it's good. Let's not get tired of repeating. We keep reading the Bible, from infancy. As soon as you learn how to read, you read the Bible till you die. The same for the Quran. So every time this this matter comes up, it's customary for me to read Article 36, so that the more citizens get used to Article 36, I'm sure the more the advocacy can improve. So in terms of managing the economy, this is just one of them. At least this is more direct in terms of managing the economy for our better welfare. It says, the state shall take all necessary action to ensure that the national economy is managed in such a manner as to maximize the rate of economic development and to secure the maximum welfare, freedom, and happiness of every person in Ghana, and to provide adequate means of livelihood and sustainable employment and public assistance to the needy. Then, listen, sub-clause, yes, it talks about, yes, that's
the directive principles of state
directive principles of state policy, and the Supreme Court has made it clear that these ones too are justiciable, meaning that you can sue in a court of law. Just like the way if you are hungry, you can't get food, you are allowed to sue in the Supreme Court that there should be a declaration that the government has a duty to provide food for you, right? So it's in recognition of that President Akuffo brought this livelihood empowerment against, it's not just freebie. No, in other parts of the world, especially in India, people went to court that the government has a duty to provide food. And the Supreme Court so held. And since then, there have been many parts of the world where that principle has been upheld. So when you see livelihood empowerment, it's not a freebie. It's because the government saw it long ago that, hey, there's a constitutional right to food, right? So the other principles are here. I see we have to move on. But just to go through that there should be a guarantee of a fair and realistic remuneration for production and productivity in order to encourage continued production and higher productivity, affording ample opportunity for individual initiative and creativity in economic activities, and fostering an enabling environment for a pronounced role of the private sector in the economy.
Right.
Ensuring that individuals and the private sector bear their fair share of social and national responsibilities, including the responsibilities to contribute to the overall development of the country. Then D, undertaking even and balanced development of all regions and every part of each region of Ghana, and in particular, improving the conditions of life in the rural areas and generally redressing any imbalance in development between the rural and the urban areas, all right? Okay. And the recognition that the most secure democracy is the one that assures the basic necessities of life for each people as a fundamental duty. So
the security of our democracy is directly hinged on our ability to meet the basic needs, including food, transport, of the people.
And that's why we say in a cliche that unemployment is a national security threat. Unemployment, that is what we mean.
We see. Perfect. Council, appreciate you for this and putting it in the context of what the law says in our constitution. And this is why I bring in Phyllis Kwachofosu, because, in fact, let me start off from where Professor Bawumia indicated that, yes, all of these factors and indicators look good, trending towards the right direction, which must be celebrated. But then again, the celebration must be in modesty, and the communication of it, which directly falls on your laps, must also take into consideration the fact that it will take a while for all of these to translate directly into the lives of people. So you must be measured in how you communicate this, so as not to be seen to be overly celebrating this when people are actually living the reality of not seeing how much of the celebration in their lives.
Alfred, that is precisely what we've been doing. There's a long-standing debate about the connection between the drop in inflation and other indices and its reflection in the realities of the people. Indeed, it is what the Professor Bawumia and his colleague, economists refer to as the politician's error. That is the moment we hear that inflation has fallen, you demand that there should be a reduction. I had some education from Dr. Addo when he was finance minister. When I posed such a question, he told me that there's often a time lag between the drop in some indices and then its reflection in the market. But Alfred, there's no dispute that one of the biggest, perhaps the biggest concern that Ghanaians had going into election 2024 was the cost of living and the general economic hardship.
Sure.
And as a party, we were responsive to that in the programs that we proposed to them as basis for us to be elected. So they elected us. And since we came to power, we've done everything humanly possible to ensure that there is a reduction in the cost of living so that people have the opportunity to live meaningful lives and that the suffering and hardships they were subjected to in the last 8 years are abated. And that's precisely what has happened. After, there's no dispute about the importance of these indices because it shows you at a macro level what the overall picture of the economy is. So when you hear of inflation, it shows you the rate at which the price of goods and services are falling. When you hear of the debt, how much do you owe, which impacts your ability to have resources to do other things, to invest in infrastructure like Professor Bawumia and other panelists here have indicated. When you hear about your deficit, your primary balance, it gives you an indication of how prudent you are being in the management of your resources.
Sure.
Now, all those are important. There's the exchange rate, which is extremely important because of our present import dependency. Of course, the ideal situation is to be export-oriented. No, first of all, in our situation, we just need to be self-sufficient, and then we become export-oriented. That is being worked on through the 24-hour economy and other policies. But ultimately, because we are import-dependent, the currency is so important because then it translates into the prices of goods and services, which is at the heart of the cost of living crisis. That is why there was a sustained effort to ensure that we bring the exchange rate under control. Once that happened, it was always going to result in a reduction in the cost of living.
That's right.
And Alfred, I take your point about not exaggerating or arguing with the electorates.
That's right.
And insisting that things are good when they feel that things are not good. We are not about to do that. But where empirical evidence exists of some reduction in the cost of living, it is important that that is addressed, especially when there are political actors who seek to deny the objective reality. One of the biggest contributors to the cost of living is the price of fuel, because apart from its use in vehicular movement, it also has a certain translatory effect on the price of goods and services, because one of the cost factors for fixing prices is transportation, the carting of goods and services from one point to the other. But before we came to power, at least in January of 2025, fuel sold around 15 cedis. Indeed, at a point in 2023, it was 23 cedis a gallon for diesel. And this brought on two hardships for people. As we speak, indeed, only yesterday, there was some price war between oil and Star Oil.
That's true.
They are selling fuel under 10 cedis a liter, which will translate, if you use the 4.5 liters that we use to calculate our gallon, to a little over 50 cedis a gallon, if I'm not mistaken. But before we came to power, a gallon of fuel was hovering close to 100 Ghana cedis. And this was creating severe hardships for the people. I've been checking, Alfred. As of the end of last year, there were 3.7 million cars registered with the DVLA. 3.7 million cars. What this means is that the reduction of fuel has at least ensured cost savings for 3.7 million cars. Out of these, just over 2 million are privately owned. And then 1.7 or so of them are commercial. Many of them involved in
ride-hailing.
What do you call it? Not ride-hailing, but commercial transportation for passengers and goods and what have you. That is a clear indication that millions of people have benefited directly from the reduction. And we all know, those of us who use Ford, I use the Ford drive in my campaign. Indeed, to fill that vehicle to campaign in AAK, I needed to pay close to 2,000 Ghana cedis. Today, the same vehicle will cost you between 1,400 to 1,500 cedis to fill. That's a saving of 500 cedis, a significant amount. Pardon me, it is also a fact that the prices of basic goods and commodities have seen reductions. In fact, when the budget was read in 2024, you know, the moment the city began to appreciate, people began to demand corresponding reductions in the price of goods and services. Sure. So the Trade Committee of Parliament summoned Guta and put it to them that there are complaints that you have failed to respond adequately to one of the key factors for your price, which is exchange rates. Guta was able to show that the price of up to 4,500 different items had dropped. In fact, it is contained in the report that the Trade Committee submitted to Parliament. And we also do market service. In fact, the Ghana Central Service they do their CPI. So they have a basket of goods that on a regular basis they compare in terms of prices. Yes. This list that I have here, from cement to fuel, to iron rods, to beans, to water, maize, rice, oil, sardine, tuna, yam, palm fruits, cow meat, goat meat, disinfectants, soap, charcoal, all those things have seen reductions in their prices. And these are things that we feel.
And this was the Ghana Central Service?
Yes, and simple market service. People watching me know the price of rice is not the same as it was before. Yeah. The price of a cup of margarine, a cup of beans is not the same as it was. The price of oil is not the same as it was. Maize, it has come down. You understand me? So this is also being felt by the generality of the citizens. Of course, citizens are right to demand.
We ain't some ahodoa itimi course or channel so. Mamma so jemre ewahara sene so bad India dumbi edumania. Nia, ibasamba rem na yasumo kwaston kuzukra. Aha, age politics avenue.